Bobby Gordon getting sideways there.
Still haven't decided for yellow. Now they make the decision. And so the yellow comes out for the second time today at the 119th lap, with Nigel Mansell still the leader of the race, but this will give the rest of the field an opportunity at least to close up and get back in contact with one another again. Nigel Mansell takes advantage of this yellow to come in. It's been 37 laps since he last stopped, so this comes at a most opportune time, Gary Gerould.
Absolutely, Paul. They were scheduled to stop on the next lap. The yellow comes out. Here he is, and again, a very conservative approach, except this time too close to the pit wall. He has to keep the engine running, move it over. They get room now for the tire changers to work on the near side, but this is going to add some time till a yellow flag stop. No changes expected on the race car. Mansell has been absolutely happy with the way it's working at this point. Tommy Wirtz tells him to wait. Now he begins to roll nearly 23 seconds later.
Just a tick over 23. Nigel Mansell under yellow, back into the fight. Here is Scott Goodyear. They go to work once again. They get that tape realigned on the right side, rest on his head. Teo Fabi makes his stop as well. He was running in fifth at the time of this stop. So the leaders of the race now make their pit stops under a yellow for Paul Tracy, who was at the edge of the race course and leaking fluid. It appeared to be maybe a combination of oil and water out the left side pod of his race car. So the yellow is out at Michigan International for the second time today. Now Paul Tracy continues to sit in his car and waits for the wrecker to come in and hopefully roll him back into the garage area. We'll be back with more from Michigan. Next Saturday, ABC's Wide World of Sports features one of the strongest American gymnastic teams in history. The reigning world champion Shannon Miller leads the U.S. squad against stars from the former Soviet Union in the Hilton Challenge. Saturday at 4:30, 3:30 Central on ABC Sports. Paul Tracy walks away from his car. Apparently the engine let go in some way there. Bobby Rahal then, under this yellow, came into the pit for a second time. A vent hose was connected to the car. He was responding to the black flag because they noticed that the vent hose was still there. But in the time that he was running out on the track, apparently the vent hose that was connected fell off. They hooked up another one, went ahead and made a tire change as long as he was in, and Bobby Rahal joined the line. So we are still under yellow at Michigan International, and Nigel Mansell is the leader of the race, but they will all close up now. Paul Tracy is out for the day. Now, what do these drivers do on a weekend or any time that they have away from the track? Would they go perhaps for something calm and peaceful, something different than racing? Emerson Fittipaldi will tell us. 6 a.m. Wake-up time at Pensacola Naval Air Station for the Navy's flight demonstration team, the world-famous Blue Angels. Using the McDonnell Douglas FA-18 Hornet, they demonstrate flying skill and technical perfection. Their world is much like the IndyCar team, so it was little surprise that they invited the PPG points leader Emerson Fittipaldi to fly as a passenger of Lieutenant Doug Thompson, flying slot in the world-famous Blue Angels Diamond. Just how similar are the sensations? Emerson would soon find out.
Ready now. Reach for the golden ring. Reach for the sky. Baby, just spread your wings. Get higher, higher, straight over the line. We'll get higher and I'll take it. Here we go. Go for it. Take it in. Okay. Best experience of my life. Let's knock it off. Let's knock it off. Let's knock it off. Knock it off. Let's knock it off. Let's knock it off.
So Emerson Fittipaldi takes a ride with the Blue Angels, but we didn't just set him up casually there. I had to go take a ride in Blue Angel 7 with Rick Young first, just to make sure it was safe for Emerson Fittipaldi. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, Raul Boesel lost one position on that exchange of pit stops, and Dick Simon, there was a problem.
Well, yes, actually, we were trying to get out in front of Mario, and the guys made an exceptionally good pit stop, but the car would not go into gear. The clutch just didn't go in properly.
So many things you've got to remember, guys, when you come into the pits if you're a driver. It's not a respite for them. They've got to get it into neutral, try and keep the revs up, and then when they drop the jacks, get back out. A momentary miscue, it cost them one spot.
Could be very costly. Let's go down the pits and Gary Gerould.
No. Well, we thought there was apparently a misunderstanding. We don't have Paul Tracy. They're trying to find him. They parked the car in a safe spot over on the backstretch coming out of 3. Tracy has yet to be seen. That's what the scramble is down here. We have not seen him. So when we do, we'll talk to him, Paul.
Oh, we're still under yellow. We found Paul Tracy for you, Gary. If you can find a motor scooter, you might be able to catch him. He's on his way back to get out of a hot driver's suit and become a spectator.
He loves 2 wheels. He rides his mountain bike for fitness and his motorcycle for fun. This is his way of getting away a little bit from the crowd, including you, Gary, I'm afraid, right now.
If the race were to come to a conclusion right now, the points would be awarded in this way, with Nigel Mansell retaking the PPG points lead with 123 points. Emerson Fittipaldi, who was the points leader coming in today, suffering badly, and Fittipaldi's suffering continues because as Paul Tracy rides away for a change of clothes, Emerson Fittipaldi is back into the pits once again. So a long day, at least this time it is under the yellow, but Fittipaldi not really a factor in this race now. He runs in 16th position as he comes in for this stop.
Just remember, though, this is a long race with a lot of racing left to go, and Nigel Mansell has anything but wrapped it up. As we said earlier, a Ford engine has never won a 500-mile race like this, not the new configuration. So, and Mansell's physical condition, you talked to him the other day, Paul, his wrist is still a question mark. There's a lot of tough stuff ahead before he has won this race.
Let's get an update on Nigel Mansell now, Jack.
Well, Paul, this caution was exactly what Nigel Mansell needed. He radioed into his crew that he appreciates the rest. As Sam Bosey alluded to, he is still suffering from that sprained wrist, and the jostling back and forth in the car gives it quite a test, especially on a track this big and this fast. But he is also very concerned about the points. The most important thing he continues to talk about on the radio, outside of the handling of the car, is how many points are we gaining on Emerson Fittipaldi.
Well, let's remember, too, that Nigel Mansell has never driven a super speedway before, and the dynamics that act on the human body on a super speedway are different than some of the things that he's become accustomed to. When he climbed out of the car during practice after running an incredibly fast lap, jumping way up above 233 miles an hour, he came over to me and he said, boy, this thing is really tough to do.
Yeah, but you know, Paul, this man must be the fastest learner in the history of motorsport. Absolutely. When he came over here this year, there were all these things he hadn't done, and now he's done just about all of them. I mean, he almost won Indy. He won the mile race at Milwaukee, only the first mile that he ever actually started. The man is phenomenal.
And the driver that you're watching so closely, Raul Boesel, he runs in 3rd. Mentioned him at the top of the show. Boesel, consistent, still looking for his first win. Well, we were finally able to track down Paul Tracy, weren't we?
Indeed we were. Paul, we know it was a motor that put you out of the competition, and of course after your great success a year ago and the success of the last 2 races, tell us about conditions out here now, and how tough is it over the bumps today?
Well, I think the conditions were real good. We got put back by a yellow. We got stuck behind the pace car, so that put us a lap down, and we're just working our way back up. And you know, the track was good, the car was running good, and we were just pacing ourselves, and got in the draft with all those guys, and the motor just let go for some reason. We don't know why.
Well, I know it's a jolt to the championship hopes. We'll see you next week in Loudon.
Oh, that's for sure.
Thank you, Paul. Let's go back up. Paul.
We're coming back to the green flag now. Raul Boesel making a move on Mario Andretti. A battle for second place as they come back to the green flag. Raul using what traffic he can. You look the angle back from Al Unser Jr.'s car, giving us good coverage there. But now Raul is able to drop in behind Al Unser Jr., and Mario is able to pull ahead as he drops in behind Olivier Griard.
Now on the restarts, these guys will turn the boost up to the max. plus put it in the low gear. Because traffic is one thing that makes it the most danger around here. The sooner they get away from the other cars, the safer and the better for them.
Boycell back in contact now with Mario Andretti as the battle for second place heads down into the tri-oval and across the stripe. Nigel Mansell is unchallenged. He continues a full lap in the lead.
Boycell, known as a consistent performer in previous years, but this year he has really come to the front, unhesitatingly racing the big superstar names in this sport.
All right, let's watch and listen as Raul Boycell tries to chase down Mario Andretti. Scott Goodyear just up to the right. He moved past Boycell. Boycell back past him. Now he's back just ahead of Boycell. We'll watch.
You can hear the engines running. The guys at the most, as we saw little Al's car a while, go back off about a quarter of a throttle in the turn. But like most of them are, but not Nigel Mansell.
So Raul Boycell working as hard as he can to try to get back up into combative position with the top of the field. You look out the back of Scott Goodyear's car. Bobby Rahal, by the way, that was not a black flag violation that brought him into the pits as we reported earlier. He came in of his own accord because he knew what was going on, but unfortunately because he left the pits with the vent hose attached, it did require a stop-and-go penalty once they came back to green, which has been assessed. Also penalties being assessed on Willie T. Ribbs and on Marco Greco for getting a little wide as they exited the pit area as well.
The rules are when you leave the pit area, there's a yellow line down in the turn. If you get above that yellow line, Wally Dalleback can put a penalty on you. And some of the guys do. Remember, they've been running well over 200 miles an hour. Sometimes that pit lane gets a little too narrow when you have to do it like at about 100, 125 miles an hour.
Here's Boycell using a draft from Rahal to make a move. This is looking back from Rahal at Scott Goodyear. Now Goodyear drafting Rahal past.
Rahal runs in 9th place. Scott Goodyear is running in 7th, while Boycell is in 3rd place trying to catch up to Mario Andretti. This is slowing him down a bit.
Rahal is another driver who is seeing his championship hopes slide slowly away from him today. He started the day in 6th in bad need of scoring big points. It doesn't look like that's going to happen.
The nose of Rahal's car.
Bobby, I know, agrees with me. We've shared so many exciting moments this season looking out over the nose of Rahal's car. This is by far the closest approximation of any of our onboard cameras. You see little Al squeeze by him here that we have ever had. This is the feeling of being in the car.
But ironically, Sam, it still doesn't show how steep the banking really is here. A person almost has to stand down the racetrack to appreciate how steep the banks are here at Michigan and what the drivers go through. But this camera certainly gets the closest to it I've ever seen.
Are you in agreement with that, Sam? So you guys are now in total agreement on something. This is great. Here comes Scott Brayton as he comes up to overhaul Bobby Rahal. It is a fight for 9th place, and Scott Brayton has him. Brayton gets past Rahal.
I think the law of averages caught up with Bobby, and he was right.
Sooner or later it had to happen, no doubt about it. Average speed of the race with 2 yellow flags now at 178.848 miles an hour. Race record 189.727. Al Unser Jr. holds that record, fast as ever. Nigel Mansell is charging for it, though. If he can have a clear race to the finish, he might be able to move back toward the record. We'll be back. This is Paul Page. We're back at the Michigan 500. The battle is back toward the front of the field. Nigel Mansell is the leader of the race. His teammate, Mario Andretti, in 2nd place just behind him. But Mario is a lap down. And for the past few laps, he's been doing everything he can to catch his teammate and unlap himself.
Try hard he's doing, Paul. We've just been watching it here. Look at him. Running up really close, picking up a draft.